guys, this is Randall. This is Greg. We're with KravMagaTraining.com. In this video, we're going to discuss the armbar from guard, and specifically, I'm going to show you guys how to use your legs properly, because I found when students learn the armbar for the first time, that's the part that they neglect the most, is not using their legs correctly. And if you learn to use your legs correctly, that's what puts you in the proper position for the armbar, as well as the proper position to finish. All right, so here's the first thing is we're going to start about on how you use your foot properly on the hip. So Greg, if I can borrow you, let's come on this side. Okay, so here's the first thing is, I'm not going to get into how to set up the armbar with how you use your hands and all the setups. That's a big topic in itself, and maybe I'll cover that in another video. But like I said, I just want to focus on the leg positioning. So regardless of what grip you use, 2-on-1s, this X grip, arm drags, overhooks, whatever, it doesn't matter. But anyways, I get into the position that I like to use, and the first thing is this foot here. I want to put that foot on the hip flexor like this. And if you want to add a little extra security and locking this arm into place, what you can do is you can push on this hip, lift your hips off the ground, and then squeeze your knee into the back of the shoulder here. When you do that on the back of the shoulder, it locks the arm into place, so it's going to be harder for Greg to pull the arm out. Now, the main purpose of this foot, though, is to push on this to help you rotate your torso so that you're more perpendicular to the person. So basically, I want to be able to see in this ear hole. So notice when I push with this foot, that's what helps me get at this angle. The other leg also has an important purpose, and that is this leg needs to hike up high on the back of the shoulder, and it's going to drive down on the upper back as high as possible. And I also push with this, pushing almost kind of like with my hamstring on his ribs to help me rotate. So between this foot and this leg, this gives me the correct angle for the armbar. You don't have to switch sides. Okay, so from a different angle, got the foot over here on the hip, knee in the back of the shoulder, and watch how this leg really comes in handy, especially if you're using a quick set of armbar. A lot of times you don't even need this foot on the hip over here. I think this leg is just as important, if not important. Watch how I do this. I drive in this direction. That's what helps me spin over here until I can see in his ear hole. So those are the two things that you do with your legs to get into the correct angle for the armbar. Now once I have this angle, the next thing that becomes really important is when you swing this leg over, the back of the knee needs to be flush on the side of their neck. A lot of times, beginners will have too much space between the back of the knee and the neck, which is no good. I want this right next to him like this, and then very important, I want to take my heel and I want to drive it straight down to the ground, like I'm doing a hamstring curl. Come on this side here. So, watch right here. Swing around. No space between the back of my knee and his neck. And watch how I bite down with the heel. When I do this, this controls his posture. If he can't lift his head up, it's going to be much more difficult for him to get out of the armbar. So notice this tight pressure like this. It's not straight out like this, which is a common beginner mistake. I'm not kicking. I'm driving my own heel down into my butt, and that's tightening him up. The other thing is my other leg does the same thing. Go up high in the upper back, drive the heel down. When you do those two things with your legs and you feel your hamstrings contracting a little bit, this is what controls their posture and makes it hard for them to get out of the armbar. Now the next thing that's really important that people neglect is the knees. They need to pinch together like this. Can you mind? So I get to the spot right here. Watch how these knees do this. Most people have their knees way too relaxed like this, and the problem with this is now the bad guy can move their arm too much, and more importantly, they can pull the arm straight out, and you're going to lose the armbar. It's not just a matter of me using my hands. Beginners tend to be too upper body focused. You need to use your entire body. In this case, your legs. Notice how my knees squeeze together. So between my heels, driving down, my knees squeeze together. I don't even have to use my hands, and his arms lock into place pretty tight. All right, it's not that he can't get out of this, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to do that. Try to pull your arm out, Craig. Are you actually trying to pull it out? Yeah. No, I mean, like really try. And that's just using my legs. Now imagine if I maintain control of my arms as well. So if you do those things, it's not impossible, but it should be slightly difficult for your partner to pull their arm out. So that's a good drill that you can practice, is get your partner in the correct position with your legs, and then see if they can pull their arm out. Like I said, it's not impossible, but it should be slightly difficult for them. So that in conjunction with pinning the hand down, it should be a lot more difficult for the bad guy to get out of this. And then finally, when you do this and you have your legs in the right spot, when you lift your hips up, your hip movement, your hip raise should be pretty small.
I know my legs are in the right spot because look how I barely have to lift my hips up. And he's already tapping. If he doesn't tap, his arm's going to get hyperextended. Beginners, because their legs are way too loose and relaxed like this, you see them doing this. Doing this huge hip raise, and that's usually an indicator that your legs are in the right spot. So, if the back of my knee is tight, my heels are driven down, my knees are pinched together, if I do all those things correctly, then I know that when I raise my hip, it barely has to move. He's already tapping. So that's the indicator that you're doing the technique correctly. All right, so anyways, those are all the little details with using the legs correctly. Both legs have a job to help you rotate so you get into the correct angle or perpendicular with your attacker, and so you're in the position to do the arm bar. And then finally, you need to do all those little details to make sure that you can maintain the arm bar. The knees pinching together, the heels driving down. Make sure there's no space between the back of your knees and your partner. If you do all those things, then your arm bar will become very effective, especially when you have to do it on a much larger and stronger opponent. So remember, beginners, it's not just your upper body, it's your entire body. So really focus on how you use your legs when you're setting up your arm bar, as well as really any of your other ground fighting techniques. All right, hope those tips help. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.